Hey everyone, this is Nam back to do my week 2 predictions for the 2017 season. Kind of bummed right now because this is the second time I'm doing this and I had it recorded and everything ready to go. So I kind of had to rehash myself. Just to recap of week 1, New England kind of surprised me. Alex Smith went into New England and he had 4 touchdowns, over 300 yards for the Chiefs. Meanwhile, Brady, 0 TDs, less than 50% of his passes completed. That was I don't want to say a huge upset because the Chiefs are going to be a good team this year, but I think it was a bit surprising. Not a lot of people expected that, especially just how they just handled. And what was surprising was it was pretty uh, handed. They handed the Patriots on a silver platter, basically, especially towards the end of the third and beginning of all fourth quarter. It was just all Kansas City from then on. Brady couldn't hit anyone. Uh, Other surprising games, outcomes, Pittsburgh only beating the Browns by 3. Arizona losing to the Detroit Lions. I think that was a bit surprising. Palmer was off that day. And I think I should have gone with. I think I even said in the previous time I had recorded this. I should have taken the Vikings. I over the Saints. I realize Drew Brees is an elite quarterback, is a threat to always throw for 5,000 yards, but he lost his number one receiver. Is Michael Thomas going to be able to replace Brandon Cooks? I don't know. But with that said, I want 8 and 7 for my first week, above average. So let's hope I do better for week 2. Starting off week 2, Houston versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Andy Dalton had a terrible game. 3 interceptions, I believe. The Ravens just took it to the Bengals offense. They're facing the Houston Texans, who I thought would have won last week because of all the emotion going on due to Hurricane Harvey. But this week is a whole new week. I see Dalton with a chance to redeem himself and beating the Houston Texans. Buffalo versus Carolina. I had said also in the previous video, at the time that I tried recording this, I see the Panthers having a bounce back year after a disappointing season last year after coming off the Super Bowl loss. And this game should be an easy win for the Panthers. I think this is my lock for the week. Minnesota versus Pittsburgh. I was going to pick Minnesota, but then I realized Pittsburgh at home. I know I even said it's kind of cliche thing to pick the home, say, oh, it's because they're at home, but there are certain teams who play it's just like night and day when they're at home. It's like the Steelers, the Saints, and like a team like the Redskins. It's always difficult to go in their environment to come out to win. So that's the only reason why I'm going with the Steelers, but I can see Sam Bradford having another big day, and if the Steelers aren't careful and if they get caught sleeping, Minnesota could come into Pittsburgh and come away with the win. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, but I'm going with the Steelers. Chicago versus Tampa Bay. Chicago gave Atlanta a good fight. Tampa Bay can't really say anything because their game was postponed due to the hurricane. But I'm going to go with the Buccaneers simply because Chicago is not expected to do much this year, but we'll see. Keep an eye out for. I think I might even said it last video, but keep an eye out for rookie wide receiver Chris Godwin for the Buccaneers. New England versus New Orleans. I'm going to say New England. This is a must-win for them in a way. To be, because if they start to lose, teams that face them that are out of their division are going to be able to, might be able to figure them out. It could be an advantage to the Patriots if they don't take them as serious, but at the same time, they'll show no respect to the Patriots as well. So I'm going to say the Patriots do go to New Orleans, which is a tough place to play. But I see Tom Brady having a bounce back game, and for my sake, I hope he does too. He's on my fantasy roster. Baltimore Ravens versus the Cleveland Browns. I'm gonna say Baltimore wins pretty handedly against the Browns. Like I said, they took it to the Bengals, and I don't see the Browns giving them a problem. Chiefs versus the Eagles. I'm going with Kansas City. I mean, they stopped Tom Brady. It's been prevented him from doing anything. I think they're going to do the same thing Carson Wentz. It's going to be all comes down to how that secondary for the Chiefs. I believe they did lose Eric Berry for the season, but I think the Chiefs though will be able to. It's going to be a key loss, but I think they'll be able to bounce back and still be a competitor in the AFC. And I like the Chiefs in this one. Tennessee versus Jacksonville. I'm going with the Titans. Uh, they've had a good hard fought game against a good Oakland team. Uh, But they're going to Jacksonville, who has lost Allen Robinson for the season. That's huge. Lose their number one receiver. Someone's going to have to step up in place of him. I'm going with the Titans, though. Speaking of the Titans' opponent from last week, I have Oakland versus New York Jets. I see Oakland having no problems really at all there. LA Chargers, Miami. LA's coming off a 24-21 loss to the Broncos. Miami, again, they didn't play because of the hurricane. I'm going to go with the LA Chargers, though, on this one. Just a key stat or key thing to keep in mind, Miami last year had the 30th ranked passing defense. So fantasy owners out there, if you have Keenan Allen, it might be a time to play him this weekend. And Phillip Rivers might be able to exploit that. So I could see the Chargers running up and down the field against the secondary for the Dolphins, if that's going by the stats and the statistics that you're given. Dallas versus Denver. I'm going to say Dallas goes in the Mile High and takes the win. San Francisco versus Seattle. Seattle didn't show much on the offense, their pass against the Packers, but great defense as always. So, and it's 49ers. They're the team that's going to be in the cellar this year, even below the cellar, like I had mentioned before I had to record this again. LA Rams versus Washington. I'm going to say LA Rams. They really took it to the Colts. But that's not saying much when you have Scott Tolzien as your quarterback. And I remember watching a game with him last year when they were playing the Steelers, and he had to fill in with Andrew Luck, who's hurt all the time. Just couldn't hit any passes really. So they'll be tested this week again. But I'm going to say the Rams by at least 10 points. Green Bay versus Atlanta. Green Bay's defense can play like they did in Seattle. I can see them causing problems for Matt Ryan, and maybe limiting Julio Jones to a big time performance to just being non-productive. But I got to take my heart wants to go with Green Bay, but I'm going with the Falcons. They're the team to beat still. They even though they almost lost to the Bears. It's gonna be home. It's a cliche reason, but I think it's not. It's just the Packers. Their offense is going to have to be better too, because if they want to, this is like a type of game where it's going to be a shootout, and they need to keep up with the Atlanta offense. So their defense is going to have to play like they did against Seattle, which I'm just going to give the edge to Atlanta right now. And then the Monday night game, Detroit versus New York Giants. I'm going with the Giants. Something I wanted to mention is that I have all NFC North teams losing this week: Minnesota, Chicago, Green Bay, and Detroit. I think that's going to be a race to the finish again this year. Green Bay should be the favorite, but Minnesota and Detroit, I think, will be right behind their tails. So it'll be interesting as the season goes on. So those are my week 2 picks. Let me know what you think, where you agree, disagree. And I had said I want to start focusing on the players' performances or what's up to date, what's going on with certain players around the league, especially with when people who play fantasy football like myself will need to know these things for the upcoming week so we can adjust our schedules. That just gives stats out and then explain the reason why, how I think they'll do against a team that certain week. That's what I want to try to do. So again, those are my week 2 picks for the 2017 NFL season. Link to the NFL Prognosticators Facebook page that I'm a part of, where we give all of our predictions, talk football all the time. Link in the description of this video below, and all my other social media outlet and sites. So with that said, as always, I'm Nam. Always use your noodle.